Great destinies are never an accident, and they are never sudden, even though they may appear that way to observers. What people often call overnight success is usually the product of years spent in obscurity, seasons where nothing seemed to be happening outwardly, but everything was being shaped inwardly. Before a life carries weight in public, it must first be forged in private. Before influence is trusted to a person, that person is tested in places where no one is watching, no one is applauding, and no one is recording the effort. There is a divine pattern to greatness, and that pattern begins in hidden places. Strength is not first revealed, it is first developed. Wisdom is not first spoken, it is first learned in silence. Capacity is not formed on the stage, it is built in preparation rooms, lonely corridors of discipline, and quiet moments of obedience. When destiny is rushed into visibility without being rooted in depth, collapse becomes inevitable. Life will always expose what preparation did not complete. Many people desire recognition, but few understand responsibility. Visibility is not a reward. It is a burden that only the prepared can carry. The reason many fall under pressure is not because pressure is evil, but because preparation was insufficient. Great destinies must be hidden early, not because they are insignificant, but because they are valuable. Anything precious is protected until it is mature enough to withstand exposure. In unseen places, motives are purified. When no one knows your name, your heart is trained to seek purpose rather than applause. You learn to obey without validation and to persist without encouragement. This is where ego dies and substance is formed. This is where you discover whether your pursuit is driven by calling or by comparison. The secret place removes distractions and strips ambition down to its true intentions. Hidden seasons are also seasons of alignment. In silence, you learn timing. In waiting, you learn patience. In isolation, you learn dependence on God rather than dependence on people. These lessons cannot be taught in public because public spaces reward performance, but private spaces develop authenticity. Destiny requires authenticity because only what is real can endure pressure. Every great assignment demands a certain weight of character to sustain it. That weight cannot be borrowed, faked, or rushed. It must be built gradually, decision by decision, habit by habit, day by day. The unseen choices you make when no one is watching are shaping the kind of future you will be able to survive. You are becoming something long before you are seen as something. Do not despise the quietness of your current season. Do not underestimate the power of small, consistent efforts done faithfully in secret. What is being built now is stronger than applause and deeper than recognition. When the time comes for manifestation, you will not struggle to stand because the foundation was laid where no one could interfere with it. Great destinies are first hidden not to delay fulfillment, but to guarantee longevity. When your time comes, you will not need to announce yourself. The weight you carry will speak, the depth you built will show, and the world will witness what was patiently formed in places they never saw. Silence, discipline, and consistency are the quiet tools with which strong lives are built. They do not attract attention, they do not trend, and they are rarely celebrated, yet they shape men and women who cannot be easily shaken. In a noisy world where everyone is trying to be heard, silence becomes a training ground for depth. It is in silence that distractions lose their grip and clarity begins to form. When the noise fades, truth becomes louder. You begin to hear your own thoughts, confront your motives, and recognize the areas that still require growth. Discipline is not punishment. It is structure. It is the decision to submit your impulses to purpose. Many desire progress but resist discipline, not realizing that freedom is sustained by boundaries. Discipline teaches you to do what is necessary, not what is convenient. It trains your body, your mind, and your emotions to respond to instruction rather than impulse. Without discipline, potential remains raw and untamed, but with discipline, potential becomes refined and reliable. Consistency is where discipline proves its sincerity. Occasional effort creates excitement, but only consistent effort creates transformation. What you do repeatedly eventually becomes who you are. Consistency removes the need for constant motivation because it is driven by commitment, not feelings. There will be days when passion is absent and enthusiasm is low, yet consistency keeps you moving forward. It is the bridge between intention and manifestation. These three forces work together quietly, shaping a person from the inside out. Silence creates awareness, discipline creates order, and consistency creates growth. None of them produce instant results, but all of them produce lasting results. They require patience, and patience itself is a form of strength. The temptation is always to abandon these tools because they feel slow and unseen. But the greatest transformations are rarely dramatic at first. In silence, you learn to observe rather than react. You become less controlled by emotions and more guided by wisdom. You gain the ability to pause before responding, to reflect before deciding, and to listen before speaking. This inner stability becomes invaluable when pressure increases. A person who has mastered silence cannot be easily manipulated by chaos. Discipline then sustains what silence reveals. Once you are aware of your weaknesses, discipline gives you the power to address them. It turns knowledge into practice and intention into action. Discipline protects your future by training you to say no now so you can say yes later to greater opportunities. It is the price paid today for strength tomorrow. Consistency ensures that growth does not remain temporary. Many experience moments of breakthrough, but few maintain the habits that sustain them. Consistency builds endurance. It allows progress to continue even when results are invisible. Over time, small disciplined actions compound into significant transformation. When these tools are practiced in secret, they reshape identity. You become dependable, stable, and rooted. When visibility comes, you will not be overwhelmed by expectations because your inner structure has already been strengthened. Silence taught you how to listen, discipline taught you how to obey, and consistency taught you how to endure. What is built this way does not collapse under pressure. It does not rely on external validation to survive. It stands firm because its strength was formed quietly, patiently, and deliberately. There is a divine priority that often contradicts human preference. People are drawn to appearance, performance, and applause, but God is drawn to depth, alignment, and integrity. While many labor to be seen, heaven searches for hearts that are true. Display may attract attention, but depth sustains assignment. Applause may celebrate talent, but character is what heaven entrusts with influence. Long before impact is measured by numbers, it is measured by faithfulness. Depth is developed when no one is watching. It is cultivated in the hidden decisions, the quiet obedience, and the unseen battles that shape a person's inner life. God is not impressed by what can be performed publicly if it is not supported privately. What looks impressive to people can still be empty before heaven. This is why many shine briefly and fade quickly. They were celebrated for skill but lacked the inner substance to remain. Character is the currency of trust in the realm of destiny. It determines how much responsibility can be safely placed in your hands. Without character, gifting becomes dangerous and influence becomes destructive. God values character because character protects both the assignment and the individual. It keeps power from corrupting and success from destroying purpose. Talent can open doors, but only character keeps them open. Depth also involves alignment. It is not enough to be gifted. You must be positioned correctly. God values obedience over visibility because obedience ensures accuracy. When people prioritize display, they often drift into comparison and competition, measuring success by external standards. But depth frees you from these distractions. It anchors your identity in purpose rather than performance. There is a reason God often hides his servants before he reveals them. In obscurity, pride is confronted and humility is formed. In hidden seasons, you learn to serve without being celebrated and to remain faithful without recognition. These moments refine the heart. They expose whether you desire God or merely the benefits that come from being used by Him. Applause is temporary and unpredictable. It rises and falls with public opinion. Character, however, is stable. It does not change with seasons or circumstances. When applause fades, character remains. When challenges arise, character speaks. God invests in what will last beyond excitement and trends. Depth is also what allows truth to flow with authority. Words spoken from shallow places may sound good but carry little weight. Words spoken from depth carry conviction and life because they are backed by experience, sacrifice, and obedience. Authority is not a product of volume, it is a product of alignment and submission. When character is formed, influence becomes safe. You no longer seek to use people to build platforms. You seek to serve people through purpose. Your focus shifts from being known to being faithful. This posture attracts divine backing because heaven supports what reflects its values. God values depth before display because display without depth misrepresents Him. Character before applause ensures that when recognition comes, it will not corrupt you. A life built this way may take longer to be revealed, but when it is, it will endure. What heaven endorses is not what looks impressive, but what is true, aligned, and rooted in integrity. Public authority is never a sudden gift. It is the visible reward of invisible preparation. The confidence, clarity, and impact people admire in public moments are not produced in those moments. They are drawn from reservoirs filled over time in private seasons of learning, discipline, and obedience. When preparation is neglected, exposure becomes dangerous. When preparation is honored, exposure becomes powerful. Life only trusts responsibility to those who have proven faithful when no one was watching. What you practice in private becomes what you manifest in public. The strength to speak with conviction is formed in hours of quiet study and reflection. The ability to lead others is developed through self-leadership practiced consistently in solitude. The courage to stand firm under pressure is forged in unseen battles where compromise was resisted and integrity was chosen. These private victories accumulate, and when the moment of visibility arrives, they express themselves naturally. Authority is not volume, charisma, or confidence alone. True authority flows from alignment and mastery. People respond to those who carry substance, not just sound. Substance is built when you submit yourself to process. In private, you confront your weaknesses honestly. You refine your understanding. You learn patience, restraint, and responsibility. These qualities become the backbone of authority that cannot be shaken by criticism or success. Many desire public impact but avoid private discipline. They want to be heard without first learning how to listen. They want to lead without first learning how to follow. But preparation cannot be bypassed. Life has a way of demanding proof of readiness. When challenges arise, it is not talent that sustains you, but preparation. It is not excitement that keeps you standing, but depth. Private preparation also teaches timing. You learn when to speak and when to remain silent. You learn discernment, the ability to read situations accurately and respond wisely. This discernment is critical in public spaces where words carry weight and decisions affect many. Those who rush into visibility without this training often cause damage, not because they are malicious, but because they are unprepared. There is also a moral authority that comes from integrity practiced in secret. When your public words align with your private life, your influence becomes credible. People may not know your hidden sacrifices, but they can sense authenticity. Authority increases when there is no contradiction between who you are in private and who you appear to be in public. Preparation in private builds emotional stability. Public life exposes you to praise and criticism, both of which can distort identity. Without inner grounding, praise can inflate ego, and criticism can destroy confidence. Private preparation anchors your identity in purpose rather than opinion. This stability allows you to lead without being controlled by reactions. When the time comes to step into visibility, preparation removes fear. You are not afraid of exposure because there is nothing to hide. You are not anxious about performance because you are standing on what you have already built. Public moments simply reveal what has long been established in secret. Preparation determines the quality of authority you carry. Those who prepare deeply influence wisely. Those who prepare shallowly struggle loudly. If you desire impact that lasts, embrace the hidden work. Build capacity in silence. When the stage appears, you will not rise to the occasion. You will default to the level of your preparation, and that preparation will speak with authority. There are moments in life when progress seems paused and prayers appear unanswered. Effort is being invested, yet results remain invisible. In these seasons, it is easy to assume rejection or failure, but often what feels like denial is actually divine training. Delay is not always a refusal. Many times it is a preparation. What you interpret as God withholding may actually be God building capacity within you to carry what is coming. Training seasons are rarely comfortable. They stretch patience, challenge expectations, and confront entitlement. When outcomes are delayed, motives are revealed. You begin to see whether your pursuit is rooted in purpose or driven by urgency. Delay slows you down long enough for refinement to take place. It creates space for wisdom to mature and for character to catch up with desire. In these seasons, strength is developed quietly. Endurance is formed by continuing faithfully without immediate reward. Trust is deepened when obedience is required without explanation. Many abandon their assignment during delay because they measure progress only by visible results. But destiny is not only shaped by arrival, it is shaped by the journey. The weight of what you are becoming often demands time you cannot shorten. Delay also protects you. There are doors that, if opened too early, would destroy you. Exposure before maturity invites pressure before stability. God often withholds opportunities until you are emotionally, mentally, and spiritually ready to sustain them. What you want quickly may require you to grow slowly. Rushing fulfillment can turn blessings into burdens. Training seasons refine perception. You learn to value growth over speed and depth over display. You become more attentive to instruction and less dependent on affirmation. In waiting, distractions lose their appeal and priorities become clearer. Delay teaches you to find contentment in process, not just in outcomes. There is also a humility that delay produces. It reminds you that destiny is not controlled by ambition alone. It teaches dependence, surrender, and alignment. When things do not move according to your timetable, you learn to trust timing beyond your understanding. This humility becomes a safeguard when success eventually comes. Many people celebrate arrival but ignore the cost of sustaining it. Training seasons prepare you for longevity. They teach you how to manage success without losing yourself. They expose weaknesses while there is still time to address them privately. It is better to be corrected in delay than to be embarrassed in visibility. Delay also builds discernment. You learn to differentiate between urgency and importance. You learn when to act and when to wait. This wisdom is essential for leadership and influence. Without it, decisions are driven by pressure rather than purpose. When the season shifts and opportunities begin to unfold, the training reveals its value. What once felt like stagnation becomes the reason you can stand with confidence. You realize that nothing was wasted. Every quiet lesson, every unseen adjustment, every moment of waiting contributed to your readiness. Delay was not punishment, it was preparation. It was not rejection, it was refinement. Those who endure training seasons with faith emerge with strength that cannot be rushed and wisdom that cannot be taught in public. Public impact is sustained by a private altar. What is visible to people is only as strong as what is cultivated in secrecy. When private devotion is neglected, public effectiveness eventually weakens. The inner life is the source from which strength, clarity, and authority flow. Without a well-tended private place, influence becomes exhausting and performance replaces authenticity. The private altar is where alignment is maintained. It is the place where motives are examined and corrected. In the presence of God, ambition is refined into purpose and desire is submitted to direction. This private space keeps the heart sensitive and the conscience clear. When this connection is strong, public decisions are made with wisdom rather than impulse. Consistency in private devotion builds spiritual stamina. Public life demands much, and without renewal, burnout becomes inevitable. The private altar replenishes what is poured out. It restores perspective, renews strength, and recenters focus. Those who neglect this place may appear strong for a time, but eventually fatigue reveals the lack of depth beneath the surface. In the private place, identity is reinforced. You are reminded that your worth is not tied to applause or outcomes. This grounding is essential because public platforms amplify both praise and criticism. Without private reinforcement, praise inflates ego and criticism crushes confidence. The private altar stabilizes identity in truth rather than reaction. Authority is also sustained here. Words spoken publicly carry weight when they are birthed privately. Insight gained in secret produces conviction in public. When preparation is rooted in devotion, expression becomes powerful and precise. Without this foundation, words may be eloquent but lack substance. The private altar is where sensitivity to direction is sharpened. You learn to recognize timing, to discern when to act and when to wait. This sensitivity prevents costly mistakes that come from haste or presumption. Many errors in public life are not due to lack of talent, but lack of discernment that could have been cultivated privately. This place also guards humility. Regular exposure to truth keeps the heart teachable. It reminds you that influence is entrusted, not owned. Humility protects you from believing your own publicity. It allows growth to continue even after success arrives. When challenges arise, the private altar becomes a refuge. In moments of confusion, pressure, or opposition, it is the place of recalibration. Strength drawn from this place allows you to respond with grace rather than react with emotion. It equips you to endure storms without losing clarity. Neglecting the private altar does not produce immediate failure, which is why it is so dangerous. Decline begins quietly, with small compromises and shortened devotion. Over time, these small neglects accumulate and public impact begins to suffer. What is not maintained privately cannot be sustained publicly. Those who endure in influence understand this truth. They protect their private life fiercely. They prioritize what no one sees because they understand that longevity is built there. The private altar is not optional. It is essential. It is the unseen source that sustains visible impact, ensuring that what is released publicly remains life-giving, authentic, and enduring. What is built secretly carries a strength that public attention cannot give and public opposition cannot easily destroy. When foundations are laid in silence, they are not shaped by trends, opinions, or pressure to perform. They are formed by conviction, discipline, and truth. Anything constructed this way possesses stability because its existence does not depend on validation. It stands because it was built to stand, not because it was celebrated. Public spaces are unstable. Applause can turn into criticism. Admiration can become opposition, and support can disappear without warning. If your strength is derived from visibility, you will crumble when visibility becomes hostile. But when your life is rooted in what was developed privately, external changes lose their power to destabilize you. What is built in secret is anchored in something deeper than public opinion. Secret construction allows honesty. In private, you confront weaknesses without fear of exposure. You can correct flaws before they become failures. Growth happens more effectively when pride is absent and teachability is present. Public scrutiny often forces people to defend appearances, but private spaces allow transformation. What is corrected privately does not need to be judged publicly. There is also protection in hidden foundations. Opposition often targets what is visible. When the core of your strength is unseen, it becomes difficult to attack. Even when criticism comes, it cannot penetrate deeply because your identity is not dependent on perception. You know who you are and what you carry, not because people say it, but because it has been tested in solitude. What is built secretly is also resilient because it has endured loneliness. Isolation trains endurance. It teaches you how to continue without encouragement and how to remain faithful without affirmation. This resilience becomes invaluable when public life becomes demanding. Many collapse not under persecution, but under pressure to maintain an image. Those who have built privately are free from this burden. Hidden construction produces authenticity. You are not acting for an audience, you are becoming. This authenticity is felt when you eventually step into visibility. People may not understand why they trust you, but they sense something real. That reality cannot be fabricated. It is the byproduct of consistency lived out of sight. When storms come, they reveal foundations. Structures built for appearance fail under pressure, but structures built for strength endure. Challenges do not destroy what was well built. They expose what was weak. If your inner life has been fortified privately, adversity becomes a test you can survive rather than a force that breaks you. Longevity is the reward of secret building. Many begin well but do not last because they focused on speed rather than stability. What is built in secret takes longer, but it lasts longer. It grows roots before it grows branches. When branches are eventually seen, they are supported by a system strong enough to sustain them. In the end, public success is fragile if it is not supported by private depth. But when your foundation is hidden, your future is secure. What is built secretly cannot be easily destroyed openly because its strength was never dependent on the open in the first place.